And we're back with On the Record with Kevin and Tiffany on 9:30 a.m. home of Conservative Talk Radio. All right, Tiffany, that was good, right? And so it's in that last segment, you explaining and having people understand the rules, right, and what the words mean. And we gave you that. And for
words
me,
are very powerful. Words are very powerful, and you would be surprised how often we're saying one word. Mm-hmm. And we're saying the same word as medical professionals, and they're meaning something else.
Okay, so let me first talk about this because I want people to take a broad abstraction of this, right? I want people to be able to apply this, right? So I believe that people need examples, right? You need an example of how someone's doing something. So therefore you can go, oh, let me take those same ideas, concepts, and principles and apply them into my area of concern. Be that concern, be economic, education, right? Health, business. Those are the general areas that we focus on the show. But right now we're really doing a big camp out around health, right? And understanding the process and understanding what the words mean. Right?
Health is super important.
And so that is because for us...
You have nothing without your health.
You have nothing without that. But that's because, right, our group disproportionately is impacted by diabetes, chronic kidney disease, and cardiovascular. But we're not the only group impacted by that. There are also others, right? There are Hispanics, and there are also a large number of whites. Even though whites don't disproportionately make up a larger number of people who end up in ESRD or who have diabetes, right, by percentages, they're number-wise, they make up the vast majority based on the number, just raw number, right? And so that's why that is a perfect coalition between us and what I like to refer to as white allies, people who are also being impacted by it.
All Americans are being affected by this.
But the reason we emphasize ADOS, right, is that I realize that I have a historical privilege in this country that when I get things changed and better for me and my group of people, I also know that it has an impact on improving the lives of others.
I wouldn't say it's a historical privilege. I would say it's a historical precedence that when we come in and we kick down the doors for things. Now, you know, when people are talking trash about black people, I always say this to my brethren, my black brethren. The strongest person in the room is always attacked the most. So we know that when it comes down to being willing to stand up against nonsense, that we have taken water hoses, we've taken batons to the head, we have done the work. We've walked across bridges, we've spent months putting up nonviolent protests and gotten what we needed. Years of that. Months in certain areas, years. We are there for the long haul, and we're the tough guys. We're the tough kids on the block.
But when with you saying that, I want to attack for the audience on the radio, I want to attack an idea that's out there, right? Because you just put out that, hey, we have done that, and so you'll have people back in our audience. They'll say, well, you didn't do that. No. Our ancestors did that, right? And so you don't get to discount the accomplishment, but then want to label me with the things that we haven't done well, we haven't accomplished, right? Which is typically and historically what people who are claiming to be black conservatives come out and do. They will bash you. They will bash you as a group, right? They will say, "Oh yeah, black people make up this much of the crime," right? But then to minimize the achievement, and that is the greatest turnoff for other ADOS who want to come to the party. Huge turnoff, and it's something that I call Republicans out all the time for, right? Look, and that's why we say, if you're coming to the Republican Party as a B1, we want someone who has a strong personality, who can sit there and present their ideas and be unmoved, right? Because there's a tremendous amount of pressure and being able to advocate.
Be the unmovable mountain. And my attitude towards anybody that steps to me with that is, one, I'm putting you down, and two, Get out of my face with that.
Yeah. And
Shut your face.
So in order to be an advocate, right, you've actually got to come in and be an advocate. And you've got to be willing to come in and behind the closed doors, be an advocate. Mm-hmm. And even out in public, you've got to be an advocate. If you're truly trying to rally other ADOS
if you
to
want
the party.
Change, you want change.
Yeah.
You want change. Not just rally ADOS, not just, let's get to... No, you want change? This is what change looks like. Be the unmovable mountain. Stand for what you say you believe in. When we're all talking and it's just us, and everybody's like, yeah, I do. Do what you say you're willing to do. Post up, brother. Don't be willing to sit there and take all the... You want to talk to this... I just want to be friends. I just want... ain't no friends in this game. What I'm here for is my agenda. You want to be friends? We can be friends. But I'm going to get what my people need. Come hell or high water.
Yep. And then no matter what. But what's terrible about that part is that even saying that, we have to explain that when I get what I need, you also, it's going to improve the lives of others. We know it's going to improve the lives of others.
Yeah, I know.
In fact, I know that, right?
But I don't explain crap to them.
You know,
go ahead.
Tiffany, I want to do a sidebar here, right? You normally tell me that I'm the intense one, right?
I personally don't see that.
Yeah, it is.
This is the level of energy. You got to come.
It really is. You have to come with that level of energy. That
you got to walk into a room and know that you know who you are and what it is you are there for.
So, like here. So, I'm gonna give a perfect example of this. So, you're talking to two passionate people, right? I really want this this episode of the whole radio show to be an example, right? So, Tiff and we're passionate about this subject, and you should see us at the house, right? And so that intensity and that energy,
really sweet right now,
where you want to advocate. You're truly advocating and building coalitions, right? This is where we move beyond the talk and we get into the weeds. So oftentimes you'll hear Tiff and I go back and forth, and I'm like, okay, we agree on what we want. Now let's get into the weeds of how it gets done. Yeah. Right, that's where people fail.
Execution.
Right, especially we as ADOS. Right, we'll go, I want this, and this can happen, and this can happen. And I say, okay, this is how we can make it happen. We got to get with this person. This person wants this.
Then
this
nobody wants to hurt anybody's
everybody
feelings.
Gets crossed. Everybody's like, well,
I don't want to offend such and so.
Yeah, I don't want to offend such and so. I couldn't see myself going into the Republican Party and doing that. So you want to complain? You want to
sit here with bottled water and we can't drink the water.
Yeah. Oh, we just want to sit there and we want to look and see on the south side of San Antonio, on the east and the west, the numbers of diabetes and diabetes-related issues are unbelievably high.
Look at the heat maps; it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And there is medication that can help. SGLT2Is. They've been around for, some people say 7 years, some people say 10 years.
But it's a game changer.
But it's a game changer. The National Institute of Health is saying it's a game changer. The NIDDK is saying it's a game changer. And yet our people don't know about it. And we don't want to offend the hospitals. We don't want to offend the doctors. We don't want to ask a doctor to prescribe this. Well, then what do you want? What do you want? Because for me, I want to see those numbers go down. So anybody I got to post up on is getting posted up on.
And this is true.
That's
and
how
you're hearing this. You're hearing this cross between healthcare and politics and our beliefs because the two are interrelated, right? One of the things. So I got two characters, right? So everyone knows that I am a big Newt Gingrich fan, and I read this article twice a year, right? That
he's a good wordsmith.
Is Newt Gingrich did an interview with the Atlantic, right? And there in Atlanta, Gingrich sponsors the chimpanzee. Somehow he sponsors the chimpanzee exhibit there in the zoo in Atlanta, Georgia. And he always says, at the end of the day, we're all basically chimps, right? Who are trying to achieve our political ends, right? And unfortunately, to achieve that, you have to make people feel uncomfortable when you're trying to achieve your end as you're building your coalitions and allies. And I really believe that, right? And then the second person, a quote that I often quote with Malcolm X, it's not that they're smarter than you, it's they're more organized than you are.
I'm a big Malcolm X fan, and
so
I think the same
I love
thing.
those two, blending those
Get
two
organized.
things is that we have to organize as we build political coalitions and build our allies, right? And so we're doing that across things, right? So across different platforms and different topics that we feel are important, right? So I often hear people talk about and they're not happy with educational system, right? And I'm like, okay, we need more people who understand education, who understand how that system works, to post up and sign up and get into the Republican Party. If you're in Texas, that's the route you should go. Because the Republican Party controls all the commission.
Incredibly important.
Yeah.
Incredibly important. We want to see accurate historical accounts of people of all of the people groups that have influenced Texas. Because black people are not the only people.
Yeah, you got to be involved.
Then you've got to be involved with school boards.
Yeah, and you've got to have a strong personality, right, that you're willing to push, right? And
thick skin.
And thick skin. You've got to identify where do we go in the system to cause change. And sometimes that is public outcry. Other times it's public outcry plus additional policy. You've got to figure out the piece of the pie and make it work, right?
Yeah.
But it's easier for us to get on this radio station and just and complain about what's wrong and how it's bad. People are tired of that. That's why I go nuts. Like
action.
You have to figure out what actions need to be taken, what actions need to be sustained. Who do I need to build coalitions with? Who has similar ideas or wants similar outcomes that I want? And that's how you change these things. I'll give you the floor, Mrs.
I'll say this all the time.
Jones-Smith.
I only have so much time left on this earth. And the one thing I've learned after losing over 70 family and friends during this pandemic is that I'm going to play full out. I believe that at the end of your life, everything that God put into you that you could be, you would see. We'll see. This is who Tiffany could have been. This is everything I put in you that you could be. And then you'll see who you were. Who was Tiffany Jones-Smith walking this earth? And I fully intend for all of my gifts and talents to match 100% the Tiffany that walked this earth, to match the Tiffany that God put in this earth that I could be, everything that I could be. So if you are on that tip, if you're trying to do that, then sitting around being mealy-mouthed and whining, that's not the way to do it. It requires action. So, you're listening to On the Record with Tiffany and Kevin. You want to take action? Join up with us.